I was thinking that maybe one day you can record like a little, like, a set like on the guitar, just like a couple of, ding, 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 kind of just,
A jingle or something?
yeah, like a jingle.
I mean, we're live, right? I mean, the
yeah.
mic is hot right now.
But yeah, like a jingle would be good. Anyways,
But we're here.
good.
Good morning.
New week
Yes.
for us.
Happy late Columbus Day.
Happy late Columbus Day, and wow, what a week! Am I right? We did not die. No car accidents.
How come you always say that? It feels like we're almost setting ourselves up for
We're not setting ourselves up for disaster.
knocking
but
on wood right now.
yeah, I don't know. Just
I don't
a
know, I don't-
little randomness.
That kind of stuff kind of
little throw you off.
feels
I'm just throwing you off
a little bit morbid. I'm not sure I like that.
It's not morbid.
But
I'm
anyway,
sorry. I'm sorry you feel like that, Brian. I'm sorry.
Welcome to the right show.
I'm Paco.
Show 4, huh?
Yes, this is Brian with a Y.
Yes, Brian with a Y.
Yeah. So we're gonna keep it short and sweet today.
Mm-hmm.
We have a few things to talk about, right? Columbus Day, the weird Trump thing / assassination / overreaction from his team, security,
I'm not even
or
sure.
sheriff.
Okay, we'll cover that later.
And then lastly, the hat, the new Harris hat.
Which, I don't know what you're talking about, but
yeah, we'll cover everything. We'll cover everything in a second. But do you celebrate Columbus Day?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Costa Rica. Remember?
Yeah.
So in fact, I think a lot of the coins or whatever, if I remember correctly, they had the 3 ships in the back of the coin.
Yeah.
And so we grew up and we would talk about the 3 ships. I think one of them is Santa Maria.
Right, like La Niña, La Pinta,
y la Santa Niña, Maria. Pinta, Santa Maria.
Right.
Ooh, look at my accent.
Yeah,
I'm pretty good. I think I'm pretty good. I still have a little bit of that Spanish left.
A lot of Spanish-speaking people tell you that you have a really good accent.
Yes. Right? Except for you. You always make fun of me. You always say that my Spanish sucks.
I don't always make
fun of you. It does suck. It does suck, to be fair.
Okay.
I mean, I have like a 2-year-old vocabulary. But if you speak really slowly, I generally can understand.
You get the idea across, and that's what matters always, right?
I can't get the idea across in Spanish for sure. I mean, I don't pretend to actually speak Spanish that well.
What about? Never mind.
Like I can order tacos asadas sin cilantro.
Yeah, that's good. You got the idea across.
Right, but then if they start like speaking to me in Spanish, then I'm like, ¿qué?
Yeah.
¿Cómo?
I have no idea of the Chinese language. I know there's Mandarin and Cantonese, and that it's really complicated,
right?
Like 5,000 characters, or something like that. But nowhere near as simple, I'd say, as Spanish.
I don't know if I'm right about this, but my understanding is that the Chinese language has over 6,000 characters, and the average person must at least have between 1,500 to 2,000 in vocabulary to be able to read. For example, comfortably, let's say you're reading the newspaper or something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if there's such thing as a newspaper nowadays, but to be able to read comfortably, you need about 2,000 collected to your memory.
And a professor,
and a professor is like 3,000. And then my understanding is like people who are very high level
Chinese speakers,
but also just really ingrained in the language, they would need about 4,000. Wow. Again, you can fact check this. I don't really know, but
you can do the work. You can do the work for us.
Yeah, but anyways, if somebody wants to tell us.
Circling back to Columbus Day. Yeah, it's a holiday that I've celebrated, here in America and also in Mexico. Well, in Mexico, I remember, drawing, the 3 little ships, coloring them and making cutouts of them in class, in history class, and
I did that too, like in kindergarten.
All just like cute little activities for kids that just to have them do something and kind of learn something in their process. And obviously, they wouldn't talk about every single historical detail. And like give it to a kid. Right. And as I grew older, obviously later I understood, colonization and the other like slavery and also, other cultural aspects that occurred by bringing 2 completely different worlds together, right? Because that's essentially what happened, right? We brought all these European ideas here to America, and then some of these American ideas traveled to Europe. And, I do think that there's a beauty in that, right? I do think that nowadays, right, we have this thing called globalization where we have, prisoners in Mexico do yoga, which is, an Indian practice. And it's just information just travels across the world so easily now, which is, I think, great. Like, it motivates people to learn.
I always find it really funny when I see prison videos where people are doing dances like Michael Jackson dances or things like that. It's these hardened criminals, but they're doing Michael Jackson dances,
Yeah.
or like you said, yoga. I just think it's really funny.
Yeah, it's just, culture travels long distances sometimes.
Right.
And I mean, there's certainly props to that whole event. I know that we can talk about statues a little bit. There are some, as far as we're concerned, some Columbus statues, right? What do you think
Well,
about that?
I just think like first of all, as a Christian, I'm not really a big fan of monuments and things like that. But I have my feelings about it. I'm not sure if I'm right or wrong about them, but I generally don't think that monuments though are meant to celebrate somebody's bad side so much as their good side. I think Christopher Columbus created a trade route with Native Americans, and that is to be celebrated. Yes, you can have certain feelings about colonization, and I'm not saying that you're wrong to have those feelings. But I also do think that there are some things to be celebrated about Christopher Columbus. For example, when he got in, when he first discovered the Mayans, and they would offer him and his crew gold or just gifts, lavish gifts that they didn't. I guess the Mayans at the time didn't really understand that gold was such a precious item. And
Well,
so they were
different
just
culture, right?
right, different
It's
culture,
a different
right.
culture.
And it was in abundance to them. So it's just like, well, here you go, here's gold, and this is our gift to you, right? This shiny rock or something.
Yeah.
And Christopher Columbus, I think to his credit, he made it a rule with his crew that you are not to accept gifts. You have to make a trade. And I think this was the idea here for him was you have to not just take it for free and take advantage of these people who don't quite realize what they have on hand is literally a pot of gold at the end of the
Yeah.
rainbow, right? So
Treasure.
yeah, I think we should celebrate that, right? That he didn't want to take advantage of these people. And so say what you will about him, if he is such a stark racist and just wanted to colonize and enslave, then why would he even trade? Why wouldn't you just take whatever they give to you for free and take the rest?
I do want to talk just a little bit more about that, right? Which
Sure.
is, I mean, this is something that I learned in high school, right? As I took history classes,
Mm-hmm.
that warrants, for first or second graders. Why am I going to judge the actions of an event that occurred centuries ago, right? Who am I to say
Mm.
I'm better than this person, or
Right.
what I believe now is the right thing to do? And because of that, other people that are dead should be punished for it, right? I want to take from whatever situation in life, right? I want to take the positives in it. I don't want to take all the negatives,
Right.
because
Right.
then if I start highlighting the negative things, I'm just going to become, I think, a negative person. And
Right.
I don't want to hang out with negative people. I want to hang out with positive people that make me laugh,
Right.
that bring up good points. And I'm not saying ignore, all the atrocities and disasters, but I am saying we can't judge history
Right.
through the lenses of our current postmodern worldviews.
Right.
That's the point that I want to tell you guys, right?
Right.
Is it so smart to say that what he did was wrong? Is that even a wise sentence to blurb out? What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's okay to talk about slavery or unfair trade practices or any of those things, or colonization. I think it's fair to talk about all those things. In
It's
fact, I
important.
encourage it.
It's important.
I think we need to remember history. I think the problem right now with a lot of culture in today's world is that the focus is not talking about the good and the bad, it's just talking about the bad. And I can guarantee that all of us have had plenty of bad to go around in our history that we
And
wouldn't want people to
yeah, in
know.
my
and
life, yeah,
and actually even
I've
if
messed
it
up a lot of
right.
times.
So I mean, for example, we celebrate MLK, and I think we should celebrate MLK. But Martin Luther King, he wasn't a perfect man by any measure. He was a pretty well-known womanizer. He was married. He was a preacher, but at the same time, he slept around. And I wouldn't say those things are what we're celebrating when we celebrate MLK. And we also aren't celebrating that when we have a monument of MLK. And we certainly aren't celebrating that when a school is called Martin Luther King. It's not that we're saying, yeah, we should sleep around, we should be a womanizer, we should have affairs. I really don't approve of those behaviors. But I can say, for example, he was a voice for Black people when they didn't feel they had a voice, right? He brought about awareness to the rest of the country that, hey, there was inequality and there was a desire uh, to be able to raise up Black people to essentially become just as much a part of American culture as whatever the current culture at that time was. And to his credit, he did help a lot with that. And I don't think there's a lot of Black people who would say that he didn't raise Black people's status in America. And I think we should celebrate those things. But again, I also do hear when people are saying, yeah, tear down the statues of MLK, or, we got to rename schools. In fact,
Columbus. Tear down the statues of Columbus, right?
No, I'm saying MLK or Columbus or anybody, right? Again, the point here is just we're supposed to be celebrating the good things that came out of somebody, right? And not to mention, Columbus Day was installed actually to celebrate diversity, and more specifically Italians, because Italians were being oppressed at the time. And well, guess what? Columbus was a well-known Italian figure, and we instilled a sense of pride in Italian immigrants in America by providing this holiday, right? And a lot of people don't realize that, so they just think Columbus Day is what? Are we just celebrating oppression? No, that isn't at all what we're celebrating.
No, I am very much against any form of
Right.
oppression,
Enslavement,
or evil
oppression
against people.
In fact, I would even say anything that takes away somebody's free will or freedom, I'm not for it.
Yeah, I don't think any rational person would be
Right.
would be
Right. And I'm not trying to even say that people aren't rational when they point out certain issues when it comes to Columbus. So, but anyways, that's my take.
Yeah, so please, like, let's keep on maintaining these traditions that we have.
Yeah.
There is imperfections and things, but let's put a focus on the positive. And the positive is Columbus created a connection in between two worlds, right? Between Europe and the Americas. And now, well, we have nations that flourish on ideas from the Americas and European ideas, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, let's keep on celebrating Columbus Day, and let's not stop.
Yep.
Yes.
Agreed.
Another thing that we also wanted to talk about, right? This whole Trump thing that happened in South California. There was an arrest. There was
Coachella.
claims of,
right?
Yes, Coachella. That rally that he had. There was claims of maybe a third assassination. You say fourth, but can you recall like all the four that you're talking about?
There's the Iranian attempt that was supposedly thwarted off, and then there was, of course, the one that everybody remembers,
right?
Where he was shot.
Right. So it's the one he was actually shot.
Right.
There's a Florida golf course one.
Right.
There's this one,
and then this one.
Then what else?
I think that's the fourth, right? That's four.
So
I don't know if
it's three.
I'm not sure.
Florida, this one, and what's the fourth?
Well, the Iranian attempt that was thwarted before all of these.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, the Iranian attempt one, I'm not very familiar with because there's almost no news about it. Whatever amount of assassination attempts there have been, I do think that this specific one is a little bit more unique because...
Well, one's in California.
One's in California, but I think what's interesting about all of this is that I'm not sure if it was an assassination attempt.
Right.
I mean, it came out as an assassination attempt, and then the media covered it like that. But I would have thought that liberal media would not want to cover something like this because an assassination attempt would probably boost Trump's numbers. But instead, they covered it, and I kind of wonder, like, what was even the point of that?
Yeah, so there was a man arrested. We know that.
Right.
There was guns found in his car.
Yes.
We know that. We know that he was put in jail and got out on a bail. We know that. And we know that he claims to be a Trump supporter. And that's pretty much it. It's all kind of a blur to us.
Right.
I mean, we were texting
So all of this is alleged.
Right. All of this is alleged. We were texting each other as everything was happening because we were like, there's no way they're actually going to do it in California, right?
Yeah.
Like, look at the state of our country where we have so many assassination attempts against one presidential candidate.
Right.
So
it almost just becomes like every other day now at this point. It almost feels a little bit like,
it almost
okay,
feels like it's
whatever.
not crazy anymore. It
Right.
almost feels like
But
it
it is
would make
crazy.
sense for Trump to be shot.
But I here's what I'm wondering. Why would the media cover this the way they did? And then when it became a hoax, they didn't immediately jump and say that it's a hoax. I mean, a lot of it is just like, why are you slow playing the news? And it kind of made me wonder if the goal was to essentially just use Trump to get a lot of clicks, even if, if the liberal media hates him, but they know they can make money off of news coverage on this, then that's probably why.
Yeah,
which then feels a little bit evil because you're covering it in a certain way to get clicks, but then you're not being quick to say, hey, this was a Trump supporter, and he got let out on a $5,000 bail.
Right.
Like, why would you let an assassination attempt situation like this let the perpetrator, the alleged perpetrator, out on a $5,000 bail? But I guess, like, hey, it's California, they let everybody out on an easy $5,000 bail.
Yeah. Do you think that security overreacted? Like, do you think they're just
maybe
maybe on Trump's team, like they're just trying to get more news to come out of him? So they're like, okay, let's arrest this guy so that people can start talking about it. Do you think that maybe like genuinely,
I don't know,
police and security,
I'm not sure about
genuinely wanted to?
My understanding is that the sheriff is also a Trump supporter.
Right. So yeah, like, what do you think about that?
So
is it an overreaction or not?
I don't know. I would say it's not, because there have been so many attempts. So you don't want to be the guy that is saying, okay, well, we found loaded guns in your car. We're going to turn your car away. You're not allowed to come back. But then what if he ends up sneaking in somehow, and then he actually does attempt to unalive Trump? Then you're going to have a lot of problems with that, because imagine the news coverage will be, hey, he turned him away and he let him back in, and somebody let him back in. Right? So maybe the right move in his mind as a sheriff was, yeah, I better arrest this guy,
put him in handcuffs, put him away.
Right. At least for a certain time period, maybe for a 24-hour time period, in which now we can bypass the storm of potential
threat.
Right. And I think so. I would say it's the right move. But okay, look, here's what I will say this. I think there are plenty of people who are constitutionalists who will say, no, we have a right to carry. And I get it. The 2A guys, and to be really honest, I tend to be a little bit more on that side. But I understand this situation is very unique. When a guy has been almost unalived like multiple times, I think you got to go into a Trump rally knowing you probably shouldn't bear arms.
Right.
I mean, I can even if he said in his mind, I'm going to bear arms in case there's an assassination attempt, and then I'm going to protect Trump. Even if that's the case, you probably should be like, yeah, I don't know, that doesn't make sense. I don't think it's the right move.
Right.
Don't bring guns into a rally.
I think that it was appropriate for security or police, whatever, to overreact. Even if I see, a BB, a Nerf gun, I'm gonna arrest a person. Even if I see,
right, if you carry a BB
gun somewhere, like,
everyone's
I'm gonna overreact.
Yeah, everyone's on pins and needles.
Yeah, I like my Nerf example. If I see a Nerf gun, I'm just gonna completely overreact. I'm gonna tell everybody that has that Nerf gun, or the person that has a Nerf gun, everybody around it, you're all arrested. Like, you're all going to jail, because I want to try to do my best job at making sure that nothing comes close to what has already happened. Right? We already happened where people weren't overreacting, where people were too relaxed, and well, he actually got shot. Right? We want to be safe, and sometimes to be safe, it requires us to overreact on things. Right? I mean, for example, a parent, if we have a kitchen, you're going to border the kitchen so that this little baby doesn't come into the kitchen. You're technically overreacting. You could turn everything off. You could just, not have a hot stove on, whatever. But I think in this case, it was important to overreact. I'm sorry that the guy had to pay $5,000 if he was actually innocent. We don't know, right? Well, I'm sure we'll find out more details about the whole thing. He didn't
go to prison
later,
right? Because he's still innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
So
which is something that you should always remember.
Right. Okay. Yes.
So
it feels like in today's world, we're always basically assuming somebody's guilty until innocent or proven innocent, which is just not
So
the way
yeah,
that we
that
do things in
happened.
America.
It was all weird. We'll see if more stories come up,
Yeah.
or if there's
I guess
even anything
I'm
that comes
sure
up
we're gonna
after,
find
right?
out more in the next few days as some news comes out, and we'll figure out a little
Yeah,
bit more
maybe,
about that. Yeah.
maybe. And then I don't know if you heard, but like Harris wanted to compete against the MAGA hat, so she brought out a camo with blaze orange hat, for
Well,
all these Democrat loving people.
I
And
have not actually
yeah, so this is the
looked
hat,
into
right?
that at all, but okay.
But yeah, this is the hat,
I will show it on the screen, I'm sure.
and it just seems like a cheap shot. Like I like original thought, right? I appreciate art, and one of the reasons why I appreciate art is because, like somebody like came up with an idea that was so original to them, right? Whether you like it or not, that Trump hat is so iconic. Like people in the
Right.
states and outside of the
I
states
mean,
are
if you
gonna
just wear a
recognize
red
it.
hat at this point, people
People are
assume.
gonna be like, "Oh, is that a Trump hat?" Like
Right.
I mean, that's what I
Yes.
do. Like if I'm
It's kind of like the
outside,
Yeezys, right? Like you see a pair of shoes, even if it's a fake pair of Yeezys, you'd look at it and you're like, oh yeah, that's inspired by that.
right? So I don't know why they had to create an unoriginal thought. Why I don't know why they had to copy what he did, basically, which is appealing
Well,
to.
I'm looking. This preliminary look at this hat looks ridiculous to me. Okay.
What don't you like about it? It's a camo hat. We Americans love our camo.
It just it feels so disingenuous to me.
It does.
It feels really disingenuous to me
Like
because
you're copying an idea.
but it's not even that because look, let's say you wear a blue hat and it says Harris Waltz or whatever, fine. But this whole entire camo thing to make it look like you're into hunting or things of that nature, which it just feels like you're pandering and it feels like a very obvious begging. I don't love it.
Begging.
Yeah,
Why
you're
is it
begging for
begging?
somebody to vote for you. You're begging for
That
people, yeah, that
Midwestern,
Midwestern group of people,
rural
rural
America.
America, to vote for you because you know you're probably gonna need their votes or you have no chance,
I just don't
right?
know why they're being boiled down to, oh, you like camo? Here's my camo hat.
Yeah, it's like a
Like,
direct. That's what I'm saying. It's directly begging. I could even settle for something like you're not directly begging,
right.
but you're directly saying, "Hey, please vote for me. I know that we don't hunt, but I'm gonna talk about my Glock, right? I'm gonna talk about how. Did you see the video where Waltz was supposedly out hunting and he can barely operate his rifle and he's like struggling to load it or something like
I
that,
did
and
see
it just
some
looked
footage of him
goofy.
outside
It
in
looked
hunting
goofy
gear.
as hell, and no one believes that. No one looks at that video and goes like, "Oh yeah, he does this." It's just not you, bro. Like
Yeah,
I'm so unconvinced that he does that.
yeah,
Like
I'm
he's not about
unconvinced
that
too.
life. And then he's talking about, again, going back to what we talked about, like the whole like carrying weapons of war to war that he never went to. It's just you look silly at this point, and everything you do keeps reaffirming, sadly, that you're goofy and you're not real and you're totally dishonest.
What did you call him? A little puppy? He has that puppy face?
Yeah, he has the puppy face. And it reminds me, so when I was in Costa Rica, we had two dogs. We had one pit bull, and then we had one of those Taco Bell dogs, basically, she was just a little pup look, okay? And she actually won beauty contests, and the pit bull on the other side won actual dog fights, which the previous owner of our dogs, that's what he did. He would bet money on his dog winning fights, and he would go out there and whoop ass. But so it's a stark contrast between the two dogs. One is a prissy dog, beautiful, knows how to do the dog shows, and then the other one was a literal Fight Club dog. Okay,
Right.
and it's really funny because the big dog, who was the actual warrior type of dog, the Viking type,
Yeah.
he would never bark. He would literally never bark. And then the moment a little dog runs into the yard, he would demolish that. And this happened actually multiple times. I'm sad to say this. I don't know if we're gonna have to bleep this out, but that actually did happen a couple of times. Okay, he would never bark, but the moment he attacked, he went for it. Okay, the little pup though would always bark, nonstop bark about anything.
I've seen Chihuahuas bark.
She would be in.
They're annoying.
She would be in the house. A dog walks by the yard. Okay, we're fenced up, by the way. They would walk by.
A branch break, and
she starts losing her mind.
They'll start losing it.
Okay, and I think that is a real funny thing when the little pup is the one that's always trying to look big, right? And that's what Walt reminds me of. Dude just always tries to be hard. Like, oh yeah, the weapons of war that I carried, we shouldn't have those types of weapons in America. I don't even know if you carried guns before. I mean, judging by the way that when you went so-called hunting or whatever, that looked goofy.
Yeah, so I
puppy.
Look, the hat is ugly. That idea has been done so many times over and over. There's nothing iconic about it.
And the thing is, they're trying to make it look like a trucker hat.
And why does it have to be a hat? Like, if you are so original, if you do believe in, your people and your voters, like, come up with a scarf or a jacket or a bracelet,
But I don't even know.
Give it some more thought. Point is, the hat thing was already done. Why don't you just pick your own lane and just grind it out and just let people, if you are so confident in yourself, like, people are gonna buy it, right? You sell them gum, they're gonna buy it.
Also, again, you're supposed to try to win a campaign, and you doing this hat thing honestly is going to lose you the campaign when it comes to hats, because there's no way you're going to outsell MAGA hats. There's no way. It's not possible.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's his own lane. He already has it. He owns it.
Right. So, in the business world, it's funny. For example, let's say I'm creating a battery technology or something, right? And I'm trying to compete against Tesla. Most likely, Tesla will just destroy me.
Yes.
But what I would do is compete in a different way. I would build this technology that doesn't directly put me in competition with Tesla, so that Tesla might buy me out. That's kind of a smarter way to compete.
Yeah.
Now, of course, you're not gonna.
Everybody wants a big check. Everybody wants a big check.
Of course, in this case, you can't exactly do that because you don't want Donald Trump to buy you out. That's not the idea here. As if you're comma, but you're literally directly picking a hat that is so iconic that you already know it's a losing battle. You can't win that war, and yet you're walking right into it and doing a goofy as hell version of it, where you're doing this look of, oh yeah, I'm rugged and I'm tough, I hunt, and that hat, just whatever you just showed me.
Yeah.
Even if I was a Democrat, I wouldn't wear that. I would think that would look goofy.
I don't know how many Democrat college students are going hunting.
And by the way, I don't wear MAGA hats. Like, I mean, I don't think I could pull it off, to be honest. Also in California, I might be scared to get shot, but, but honestly, I don't wear MAGA hats or anything like that, even though I think they're very iconic. But like I said, if I were a Democrat and I was a hat wearing kind of person, I would not wear that hat. I just think that looks goofy.
So
trying too hard.
There you have it, guys. Please leave a comment down below. Please like this video. Please subscribe. And is there anything else that you want to add before we take off?
Keeping
it short today.
I just want to know if you still love me.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. All right. Thank you so much for watching.
Bye. That hat do look goofy as hell, though.
It just looks weird, dude. Like, why?
No, it's terrible.
Why?